Okay, so hey guys, and welcome back to another weekly fighting roundup. And of course, today got the boxing and MMA news. So if you're new around here and you haven't yet subscribed, please do so. Like the video if you indeed like video, and let's get straight into it. So starting off with the boxing news, of course, and so Hearn wants Ford versus Roach Jr. in October or November. That is an excellent super featherweight fight. Do I think it's gonna happen? Probably, because I'm sure Roach Jr., who I don't believe is signed to anybody, is going to be wanting big fights. And realistically, if anybody's going to provide the big fights for him, it probably would be Eddie Hearn. And to be fair, if Eddie Hearn does manage to get Roach Jr. as a signing, then that would be a huge signing. But of course, he's also wanting the best opportunities for Ford as well. Del Wayo will fight July 27th. Fisher, Hatton and Clark will fight August 24th. Stevenson is in talks with Matchroom, Golden Boy and Mayweather Promotions. I heard something about what Golden Boy was offering where they said just the only way that they'd accept the William Zepeda fight would be if he was signed with them, which is not the best, to be honest, in my opinion, because I mean, realistically, Stevenson signs with Golden Boy, and then you fight what? You fight Zepeda, and then who else have you got to fight? Nobody. So I don't believe that he's going to actually sign with Zepeda, but just yesterday, WBC did order Zepeda to fight Stevenson. So, that fight might end up happening, but they did say that they weren't willing to do it if Stevenson didn't sign with them, which is not good. But then also at the same time, Stevenson was at a matchroom event at the NS1 just on the weekend, so possibly he's more tempted by them. And then the Mayweather one, if he signs with Mayweather Promotions, then possibly we'll see the Davis one, but I'm not too sure. Options on the table for him. Just going to be interesting to see who he does eventually go with. Big signing though, Eubank Jr. has joined Boxer. I mean, he's already been fighting, recently with them, more recently with them, but that is still a big signing and probably means that he's actually going to be fighting soon, whenever that may be. Dacres versus Adelaide is off. Walker has joined with Jones. Inoue is set to fight Doheny in September. Muhammad Ali's career is being made into a musical. Just thought I'd mention it. I feel like his career has been made into every sort of everything that you can have in that aspect, but now he's getting made into a musical. Dacres will rematch Webster July 20th. Iglesias will fight Agbeko August 17th, I think. It's good to see Iglesias getting actually somewhat recognition and getting put on bigger cards. This is on the Mbili undercard. So yeah, that would be interesting to see. The BBB OFC have ordered Clark versus Wardley 2. Ortiz will fight Correa August 24th. Zepeda will fight Red Catch September 6th. Paro is in talks to fight Cambosis Jr. in November. That's crazy. I think Eddie Hearn also said Prograis versus Catchall to win as an option, and Devin Haney, I believe, is an option as well. But to have Cambosis Jr. as a front runner, I'm not a fan of that, to be honest. Obviously, it would be a big fight in Australia, but Cambosis Jr. is coming off multiple losses at world title level. He's proven that he's not able to fight at that level, and I definitely think that the winner of Catterall versus Prograis probably is most deserving of the shot, or I don't know, a Matthias rematch, or Haney if he's up for it. So I think there are much better fights to be made, but I just aren't really a fan because I just don't really think Cambosis Jr. is deserving of that opportunity. Moving on, Fundora will fight Asensio August 10th. Taylor will fight Lamella July 20th. Janabek versus Mikhailovic was cancelled, and that was due to Janabek's weight cut problems where he passed out and ended up in hospital. I believe he's okay, but that just shows, as always, the extent in which fighters go for their weight cuts is really, really not good, and it is getting to a point but not just boxing, for MMA as well, where there's been multiple different cases, and I would love to see something more be done about it. Will there be? I don't know, but I would just love to see something be done about it, because this is a huge. Well, this was a big fight, and Janibek shouldn't have done it the way that he's done it, clearly, but he should move up next. Will he move up? I don't know. Hopefully he will, because if you're passing out and everything, you should move up. But at the same time, if he moves up in the middleweight division, it's gone back to being really, really not dry, but not really got too much life in it. But obviously for the safety of Janibek, I believe he should move up, of course. Rafferty will fight Turner, and Scarf will fight Taylor. Their two fights been accepted by the British board. They also have ordered Bostan versus Davis, which I think is an excellent fight, and Eddie Hearn seems up for that. Hernandez has re-signed with Matchroom. Barboza Jr. is set to fight Ramirez September 28th. Eubank Jr. has called out Canelo, Crawford, Ben, and Saunders. Canelo possibly could happen. It's been talked about. Crawford, I doubt will happen unless Eubank Jr. beats Canelo. Ben, never know, could end up happening, but I feel like that ship may have sailed. Saunders, I don't know, maybe, but I'm not too sure. I don't know if Saunders can just jump straight back into a Eubank Jr. fight. He probably would try. Mikhailovic wants Janibek to be stripped of his belt. I doubt that. Well, it's pretty much confirmed that isn't happening, but he wanted that to be the case. Smith will fight Fernandez September 28th. Gripper won via unanimous decision versus Wektra. Polkinghorn won via unanimous decision versus Casillas. Dargan won via unanimous decision versus Kawempong. Scott won via KO in round 1 versus Hall. Fatih won via TK round 1 versus Markovic. Grach won via TK round 3 versus Marla. Talva won via unanimous decision versus Lind. Amelia won via unanimous decision versus Brown. Wilson won via KO in round 8 versus Dib. Goodman won via unanimous decision versus Chinoy. And to speak about that fight just a little bit, over my prediction, I believe right for that one. I can't actually remember, to be honest, but very good performance from that of Goodman, in my opinion. I think that could be his best performance, arguably, yet, when the pressure was against him, and a fight like that where he's probably looking ahead towards bigger fights against the likes of Inoue, but he stayed focused, managed to get a good victory, and I liked his movement. I think his movement was really good in that one. He made his opponent miss when he was wildly swinging, and then capitalised upon it. And there was times where he got into a little bit of a fight at points, but for the most part, excellent performance. And I'm excited to see him hopefully fight Inoue next. Probably after the Doheny one. I still don't really believe that the Doheny fight should be happening. I know Eddie Hearn's fuming about it because he wants Akhmadaliev, but probably we'll end up seeing Goodman fight Inoue at the end of this year, as it seems like Inoue wants to stay around the weight division a little bit longer. Silva won via unanimous decision versus Vargas. Aldana won via TK round 3 versus Hernandez. Parales drew versus Obando. Estrada won via TK round 2 versus Aguilera. Gonzalez won via TK round 2 versus Urbina. Cibrian won via unanimous decision versus Romero. Hernandez won via KO in round 4 versus Carmona to become WBO Latino minimum weight champion. Villar won via unanimous decision versus Vivas. Ortega won via unanimous decision versus Gonzalez to remain WBO Latino light flyweight champion. Gonzalez won via TK round 10 versus Barrera, and I haven't had a chance to manage to see that fight because I just can't really find too much footage of it. But big congratulations to Gonzalez at the age in which he's done it. After all the big fights that he's been in, he's still getting big victories and still getting stoppages. And full credit to him. From what I've heard, it was an excellent shootout performance. And like I said, big congrats to him. Davis won via KO in round 2 versus Clark. Sylvan won via unanimous decision versus Shackelford. Mendora won via KO in round 2 versus Good John. Lopez won via unanimous decision versus Sumpter. Aki Sugi won via TK round 9 versus Rubio. Flaz won via TK round 4 versus Escarrega. Batagaziev won via TK round 9 versus Carroll to become WWE Interim or World Super Featherweight Champion, and I saw the stoppage for that one. It's another fight in which I couldn't really see it. I couldn't really find everything from it, but I got my prediction right. I didn't think he'd be able to stop him, but I believe that is a statement victory for Batagaziev, and full credit for him to be able to do that. It's, Carroll's a really tough guy, and he just seemed to put it on him, unloaded power punches when he was on the ropes, which I knew he'd do, but it was just too much for Carroll in the end. He went to the body nicely, which perhaps I didn't expect quite so much from Batagaziev, but yeah, in the end, very good performance, and it wouldn't surprise me if it's not too long until we do see big fights for him in the super featherweight division. Like I say, knocking on the door of the world title with the interim belt at the moment now, and Carroll, I don't really see a way in which we're going to see too many more big fights for him now, as of course, he's been for a lot of wars and things like that, and yeah, that was quite a bad stoppage for him. But you never know, possibly we might see him again soon. Moving on, Pacheco will fight Selecki August 31st. Hernandez will fight Matisse September 13th. Thompson will invite a decision vs Valdez. Mohammed will invite a decision vs Brown. Carto will invite stoppage in round 3 versus Trago. Diaz Velez will invite TK in round 2 versus Hernandez. Geraldo. Ko will invite TK round 2 versus Ritter to become WBC USA Light Heavyweight Champion. Hackett will invite a decision vs Dobson. Nicholson will invite a decision vs Vargas to remain WBC World Featherweight Champion. Ennis will invite stoppage in round 5 vs Avanesian to remain IBF World Welterweight Champion. And to be fair, this ended up being the biggest kind of event this week, combat sports wise, and it really did seem to do well to selling wise, and I didn't expect it to do quite as well as it did, and it became, I believe, like the biggest boxing event in Philadelphia in like 30, 40 years or something like that. A big stat, and fair play to Ennis. He's delivered on a big stage. I mean, the Nicholson fight, I got my prediction right for that one. That was an excellent performance from Nicholson. I was very impressed with it. I think it was probably one of her best performances. I said that Vargas would come in and cause a little bit of a threat. She'd be tough. She'd be wanting to push the pace, come forward, and could fight at a mid-range, could make it difficult, was a better opponent than her last opponent, and Nicholson fully just stopped the problem, stayed disciplined, kept behind the jab again, landed a few more power punches when she could. I don't believe she's ever going to be one to go out there and get loads of stoppages, but that's just not her, so there's nothing wrong with that, and she's just such a disciplined fighter and does have an excellent style, and yeah, put out a shutout performance, and very good win for her. And then Ennis, I mean, I really am impressed with him as well against Avanesian. Avanesian was always going to be as well, come forward, tough, making it tough, but Ennis seemed to, it's not always necessarily the best game plan to stand toe to toe with an opponent, but he seemed to want to do that and then progress from that and be able to, show that he could fight in the pocket and get the better of every single exchange, and he did that. And so yeah, full credit to him. Excellent performance, excellent stoppage. Yes, he was getting caught with shots, probably more than that of Crawford was, but he also at the same time put out a better stoppage earlier on than that of Crawford. So, it works both ways, I suppose. And if he kind of knew that was coming, then I don't really blame him for fighting the way that he did fight. And yeah, showed that he didn't really have much ring rust, and that wasn't even one of his best performances, but still, great performance. Avanesian, I'm not too sure what he's going to do next, but nonetheless, Ennis now, Eddie Hearn seemed more than excited for the Crawford fight. It was funny, the whole press conference with them, but nonetheless, will we see Crawford versus Ennis next? Possibly. His Excellency seems interested in that, and so if he's interested in it, then that's probably the highest chance we will get of being able to see it. So yeah, we'll see, hopefully, as it probably is one of the biggest fights in boxing currently, and Ennis has really boosted his platform well, and with a promoter like Eddie Hearn, he's going to really push him, of course. Moving on, Gonzalez will invite TK round 6 versus Martinez. Mercado will invite number decision versus Haynes. Zamaron won via unanimous decision vs Bracamontes. Shihi won via unanimous decision vs Quiroz. Lopez won via KO in round 1 vs Padilla. Sagawa won via unanimous decision vs Villa to become WBC Silver Featherweight Champion. Muratala won via unanimous decision vs Farmer to become North American Boxing Federation and WBO NABO Lightweight Champion. And of course, that fight had to step up to the main event billing, and it was a good fight. It was a close fight. I did always kind of know it was going to be a close fight. I got my prediction right for that one. I didn't believe that Muratala was going to be able to finish Farmer. Farmer's tough. He's durable. He's gonna come to fight. He can land a lot of punches of his own, and the point deduction was kind of harsh, but nonetheless, Murataya, I did believe, did do enough to win. He was getting people talking about his punching power and things like that, which is a bit harsh, but he kind of did just fight how I expected him to fight, to just be in the pocket, out throw, and then be able to land clean a couple times, but not be able to really hurt Farmer. But Farmer's durable. I believe he's going to be able to fight again, probably at a high level again. The fight which I was interested in, to be fair as well, was the Sagawa Villa one. Sagawa really put on a good performance. It was boxing wise, he wasn't anything crazy. It was big punches, wild punches, and it didn't really look the cleanest, but he really brought the fight to Villa, and it was too much for Villa. And these African fighters do always bring the fight, and so congratulations to him. That's a huge win for him as well. But Murataya now will be interesting to see where he progresses. They've been going back and forth with Keyshawn Davis, so you never know. But in the lightweight division, there are big opportunities available, and hopefully we will see them. Moving on, Mansour won via TK in round 1 versus Uvale. Lopez won via unanimous decision versus Pinillo. Scobie won via KO in round 1 versus Lim. Jones won via TK in round 5 versus Silva. Sanchez won via unanimous decision versus Villanueva. Brady Jr. won via unanimous decision versus Vasquez Jr. to become WBC USA Silver Super Featherweight Champion. And moving on now to the MMA news. Chandler has called out Diaz. It is funny to see that Chandler, who got given the opportunity to fight Makhachev, really just doesn't want to do that. Even though it's for the belt, he'd much rather fight any kind of other big fight instead. He just wants where the money's at, which, we know his priorities now, and I don't discredit that, but at the same time, he does only seem to care about the money. But nonetheless, will we see him versus Diaz? Probably not, but he's called him out as an option if Conor McGregor doesn't end up wanting to fight him anytime soon. Gamrot will fight Hooker August 17th. Allen will fight Imavov September 28th. St. Denis will fight Moicano September 28th. Elder won via submission round 2 versus Flowers. Petrosky won via decision versus Fremd. Santos won via submission in round 1 versus Aguaparo. Jackson won via KO in round 1 versus Blackshear. Jaka Daviscus won via decision versus Clean. Johnson won via KO in round 3 versus Vaughn. Al Hassan drew versus Brundage. Erosa won via submission round 1 versus Rodriguez. Bonfirm won via decision versus Loser. Silva won via KO in round 3 versus Dober. Sakilov won via decision versus Ponzinibbio. Namajunas won via decision versus Cortez. And to speak about a couple of fights of that, the 18-second KO from Jackson was very impressive, and doing stuff like that in the prelims, you kind of have to be able to make yourself a big name and to be able to build yourself a platform. And for these UFC fight nights where the main event isn't a huge name, you have to be doing that because this is the biggest chance for you to step up. And when there isn't massive other things going on, you really getting a win like that really does help boost your platform. The Dober fight. Dober's always been really tough, but that cut was gruesome. But fair play to Silva for being able to win the way that he did. And then Namajunas, decision Cortez. She fought really well, to be fair to her, and Cortez I thought was going to possibly put up a bit more of a challenge, but Namajunas, fought really well. I was really impressed with her. I think some of the fights in which she's fought, she's not always been at her best, and in recent times been at her best. But I think that was an excellent performance, and it was not exactly the old Rose that we used to, but it was still a very good shutout performance where she did show a lot of variety, and that's what you want. And yeah, like I say, Cortez, I believe, can come back again and will continue to have big fights. But Namajunas, with wins like that, you would have to say that perhaps she isn't far away from another title shot. But we'll have to wait and see. And then finally, War won via KO in round one versus Peralta, a 7-second KO that I thought I'd mention. But yeah, that is it for today's video. Hope you did enjoy it. Like if you did, leave a subscribe if you're new, and thanks for watching.